Hey everyone, happy Self-Love Sunday. So there is a saying that goes, people would prefer to choose a familiar hell than choose a unfamiliar heaven. And what this means is that we are more likely to choose something that is familiar to us, no matter how toxic it is, no matter how detrimental it is. We would prefer to choose something that is familiar than an unfamiliar heaven. So something that is good for us, something that is kind of lifts us up. We would prefer to choose that familiar hell. And what this means is that when we're choosing something familiar, even if it isn't good for us, it's because we know what we will get. There is no risk involved because we know exactly what's going to transpire. We know exactly what is going to happen when we choose that familiar hell. When we choose something that is unfamiliar to us, even though it is good for us, we don't know how that's going to play out. We don't know how that is going to work out. Maybe it's changing a behavior within us. Maybe we have certain behaviors that have kept us stuck, stagnant, that have not been good for us. But instead of changing over to something that's a little unfamiliar, but we know that is good for us, maybe a new way of being, a new belief system, um, we we tend not to go that way because, well, first off, it's effort. It's effort to move that way of thinking, that new belief system. It's a lot of effort. There's work involved. But also, again, we don't know what's going to happen on the other end of that unfamiliarity. What is the end result going to be? What is the reward going to be for me? If I know what's going to happen over here in my familiar hell, then why would I change things because I don't know what's going to happen? And this can be really difficult because our bodies are used to a certain way of being, a habitual way of being. And so when we're trying to change things within ourselves, change our lives, change our way of doing things, it can be really, really hard to move over to that new way of being, that new way of thinking. And but there is a reward in that because if you're feeling stuck, if you know that what's happening over in the familiar hell, if it's the same stuff and you're wondering why it's not changing, if you're wondering why, how do I get out of this? You're frustrated, whatever it is. If it's the same behavior that you are engaging in, then you got to switch that behavior. You got to switch that belief system, that way of thinking, those emotions. You need to switch it up and move towards that unfamiliar heaven. And it can be a little bit disconcerting because our bodies are not used to it. They are more aware or more used to what is happening in the familiar hell. But the moment that you make that choice and you move towards that unfamiliar heaven, that new way of being, and you continue to do that, and you bypass those emotions and thoughts that are trying to drag you back over to that familiar hell, if you can move through that, then you will create that new reality and that new love for yourself, that feeling of self-worth, that value for yourself. You'll create a new reality. So I hope this helped you, and I will see you next time. Bye.